Welcome to Franchise of the Week. In this episode, I have Mark Titcomb, and we're going to discuss why people are investing in Floor Coverings International. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you connected with Floor Coverings?
Thanks, Nat. Absolutely. Yes. So, journey, I'll keep this as short as I can. The journey has been an interesting one. I started out at 23 years of age, came out of graduate school in Boston, and ran my first franchise right outside of Boston in Newton, right near Boston College. Then moved down to Connecticut, built a $2 million business down there at 25. Lots of enthusiasm, lots of energy, not a lot of knowledge. Real life MBA there. And then we decided move back, or for my wife, we were moving back. She's from the Midwest. I'm from Maine. We moved here into the Midwest. We're in Michigan on the shores of Lake Michigan, and my wife and I have been entrepreneurs into our late 20s, 30s, and I actually was involved in helping build one of our sister companies. And then when we came back, we traveled the world with my girls, my wife and I, for a year. When we came back late summer of this year, I had spent about 18 months prior to the trip researching concepts within our family of companies and outside, considered a lot of opportunities, and honestly, bit of a no-brainer to invest and become an equity partner here at Floor Coverings International, which I actually, when I was in Tasmania, Australia, I wrote that check electronically and became an equity partner of all places. And effective September 1st, did something, just spend the most incredible run. We'll talk about that probably in the meeting today, but joined Floor Coverings International and could not be happier.
That is great. What are you seeing? What kind of candidates are making good owners with Floor Coverings?
Thanks, Nat. It's definitely the executive model that we have here, and that's different from the owner-operator model that exists as well in franchising today. The executive model is very specifically working with the new franchisee on helping them become useless. Okay, it's a bit of a new concept for a lot of folks. You invest in a franchise, which Nat, you've been involved in business ownership. I've been involved. When you first do that, you think your safety net would be, I want to jump in and do everything. I want my hands on it. The challenge with that is too often that's exactly what's happening 3-4 years in, and you're like, oh my goodness, I just bought a job. I'm exhausted. I'm working more hours, making less money than when I was working for corporate America. Our model is very different. Early on, we help our franchisees move out of that mode, taking hats off their head to put on other people. While it's important to know what good looks like, we are training the trainer. Early on, you, the franchisee, we're also helping you work neck up, smarter, okay, not harder, not brain. So early on, helping you bring in staff and think as an executive. So the qualities we're looking for, back to your question, would be leadership, those that have a preference to lead. There's a big difference between effective management and leadership. Effective management sometimes can have that tendency to micromanage. Definitely not our best candidates. So those that have had experience leading teams and creating great culture in teams, those that enjoy people, candidly, Nat, there are people that probably don't enjoy people that much if they were going to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
This is a people business. We're in homes with our staff. I like to say we become the mayors of our communities. We're too often, as executives, we're flying to China.
Right.
We know people in China better than we know our neighbors. This is about getting to know your community, getting involved in your community, which is very exciting and fulfilling, brings a lot of meaning back to people. And then thirdly, it's obviously having the means. With our concept, the investment is going to run about $180,000 because it is that executive model. You're investing in people and something we may talk about today, a mobile flooring showroom and some technology. We're pretty edgy with our technology because in order to be relevant today, you have to be technology minded. So those would be some things that we really entirely, those are what we're looking for our candidates.
Yeah, when I think about Floor Coverings International, it's kind of a mouthful. Like, what all do you guys actually do?
So it is, yeah. We're not the jack of all trades. There are concepts that go after that market, and gosh bless them. This is really about coming in, and our focus is flooring.
Okay.
It's decorative, it's fashion, it's trendy. It's exciting, and that's one of the reasons our demographic tend to be women,
Hmm.
41 to 60 years of age. That's our demographic. A lot of our salespeople, we call them design associates, are women. Yeah, it's a high-end product that's put in the home that has lasting value and gets people excited again about their homes.
Yeah, that's it seems like everybody I know is remodeling right now.
Big time.
Do you guys do much commercial?
It's Nat, it opens up a whole nother conversation. The market response has been unbelievable, and when we talk a little bit about our value proposition in the space, and with a franchise candidate, I'll talk a little bit about how different we are from everyone else in this space. But it's been really interesting for us. The market response residentially has been overwhelming.
Okay.
And candidly, we're actually having a hard time keeping up with leads. A good problem, and one we're addressing. Commercial B2B right now is only about 15% of our market, of our overall revenue, while the market is huge. If anyone's been into a new Subway franchise recently, or recently upgraded a hotel, look at the floors.
Right.
They're high-end floors. They're often luxury vinyl product, high-performance product, but they look amazing. And that's what they're doing to differentiate themselves from the clutter in their space. We're getting involved in doing a lot of that work. I see that being another big sector for us as our franchisees get a handle on the residential potential in their turfs.
That's awesome. What's it look like as far as with employees, or how do you find employees for this?
Good question. So, our model is generally, although some of our franchisees choose to go down the employee path, most of our franchisees find it far more equitable, and actually the staff prefer it if they're 1099, if they're contracted. I wouldn't use the term subcontracted because it has so much stigma, and it's not really how it works with us. Yet they are contractors operating through 1099. They have a little more control around who they're working with that way. They can work with their team, their tools. They're logoed on their vehicles, their shirts, and there's a tremendous training program around communication. Yet these are craftsmen, unlike other spaces where they might do it and then 3 or 4 other things. Our installers, that's what they do. They install carpeting, hardwood, vinyl, high-end vinyl, engineered product hardwoods, marble. These are incredible craftsmen that are great at math, if you
Right.
think about it. So I've got a tremendous affinity for the folks that are doing the installation work for us.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned technology a little bit earlier, and I think I was on your website. It looked like you guys have like a mobile a van that's all wrapped up, like a mobile showroom. Can you tell us about that?
And that's exactly what it's called. Good man. Yep, the mobile showroom. So it's not to get too tangential here, but you look at, for instance, Papa John's, right? And what Papa John's did in the pizza space, where they've started having Domino's and Pizza Hut look over their shoulder, right? Because Papa John's, with their app, 60% of their pizza orders, boop, boop, and they're ordering their pizza.
Yeah.
Something Pizza Hut and Domino's were playing catch up on. Amazon putting big boxes right out of business. As a consumer base, we are now accustomed to picking up our phones, handy devices, and doing whatever we need to do on our phones.
Right.
That is not this space. It is low tech. It's contracting. It's low tech. We've understood, in order to grab the market share we can absolutely grab, in order to continue to be relevant and differentiate ourselves, it's technology. So now we put over $1 million into software upgrade this year, just upgrading on the Samsung Galaxy Tablet S3, this handy dandy product right here. Okay.
Yeah.
It gets up and walks. Okay. It walks our salespeople through the entire Inspired Sales process. Something else that's proprietary with us. It's intuitively providing information to the customer based on great questions we're asking, because that's another side of this industry, Nat, that falls very short is a complete lack of education around what options the customer should be presented with, because our space is inventory driven typically. Yeah. Right? You walk into a Lumber Liquidators, that's their sale of the day. And
Right.
that's what you're going to buy. May not be the best product because you've got a 180-pound Great Dane, right? That's going to tear up that wood or whatever it is you're thinking about putting down. So we're in the home, right? We come out to the home for the presentation so we can see what the realities for that homeowner are, and then we're able to make a recommendation based on software, based on training and education. We're able to make a recommendation to the customer of 3 products that we're going to recommend: good, better, best.
Okay.
And then this handy dandy tablet, okay, it's actually going to present those 3 options with all kinds of financing. Okay, because we know ultimately it comes down to price and payment.
Right.
What's my payment going to be? So we can break those down into low monthlies over 48 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
We can do 6 months. It's sweet, man. 6 months, same as cash.
Yeah.
And our franchisees paid right away. It's a third-party vendor. So it's just making it intuitive and customer-centric as to what the customer would like to have, which is an experience in the home with their lighting, their decor. That's where they want to look at the samples.
Right.
Where the space gets it completely wrong. The industry gets it completely backwards, and they're asking the customers to come out to them.
Yeah. That is amazing. I love that. Talk to me about like client acquisition. Like how are your franchise owners getting new clients or inquiries and all that?
Yeah, and that honestly, as an investor myself, that was one, along with the team that's here, because I believe it's all about who you're doing it with. Mm-hmm. That should come first, even before you determine what you're going to do, is the who and the why. For me, this team is, of course, world class. Yet the other thing that helped sell me, if you will, was the lead flow. Like right now, Nat, more than half the leads we are able to generate through the really sophisticated online lead gen systems we have, more than half the leads we're not getting to quickly enough right now.
Wow.
Okay, which is a good problem. Yeah. Yet we've onboarded close to 130 salespeople, we call them design associates, for our franchisees and with our franchisees, and still we have this lead problem. Okay, so leads are being generated through that online device search, right, on our handy dandy phones, through Angie's List, Home Advisor, Service Magic. We all know these big lead generators. Local community efforts, which is more about the fun. Mm-hmm. Plus, they do generate great leads, and because we're doing such a phenomenal job of serving the customer and creating these raving fans, Nat, this year we're trying to have an 84% net promoter score.
Oh, that's great.
So 84% of our customers, net, the detractors, are raving fans. You'd imagine word of mouth and previous customers are skyrocketing, and those are your 2 best leads.
Yeah,
so those are lead sources.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys, when were you guys established, or when were you founded?
Right. So this is a much older, great question, Nat. This is a much older franchise than most people realize. We acquired it. We're all about acquiring established concepts that need to be brought into the modern age. Okay, we acquired California Closets. Many people know that brand. We acquired Pillar to Post, which was the first home inspections franchise. Mm-hmm. Okay, this was the very first flooring franchise ever created. It was created almost 30 years ago, established almost 30 years ago. We picked it up 12 years ago in 2006, and candidly, Nat, for the first 5 years, it was investing in technology, training, field support, staffing, okay? And even today, we are being very deliberate about how many franchisees we onboard. Mm-hmm. We are not going to be onboarding 100, okay, of the best. We are looking every year right now to onboard 40 to 45 of the best, because we know we can support that number.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
the key.
Yeah, I love that you guys are an established brand, have lots of backing, how many franchise owners do you have right now?
Well, that number has been, of course, it's moving in the right direction. We have 163 franchisees, which, is a nice balance in this awesome country we live in. And let me tell you, it was reaffirmed with the travel my family and I just did. This awesome country we've got is so demographically rich, right? And huge. 163 franchisees is just not that many.
Yeah.
It isn't. So where, people watching this show right now, this program, where they're located is very likely we have their backyard available or a territory within 10 minutes drive.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be able to say that while there's local mentors and there's franchisees in their market, they're also going to be able to learn from and get support from.
That is so great. I just really wanted to thank you for joining us today, Mark. Was there anything else you'd like to add as we kind of sign off?
Nat, the last thing I'd mention is, as people are looking at concepts, and I think that's a very important thing to do, is look at concepts, plural, look at numerous opportunities. I've found typically 3 to 4 is a good number. Consider market trends. And, one of the things we really appreciate about our model is it's not going to get outsourced to China.
Right.
Okay, no disrespect to the world getting flat again, right?
Right.
It's not going to get outsourced to China. People love their homes. We're fairly vain people, Americans, right? We keep our cars clean and vacked out. We keep our homes looking nice.
Yeah.
And the holiday seasons kind of remind us of the things we need to be doing. So as you're looking at concepts, considering, and this is one of the reasons we're growing so rapidly this year, people are thinking about that and realizing services in the home for someone's home is a really great space to be in. So I'll close with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark.